SIFMANet, in partnership with Dow Jones Risk Compliance, convened an expert workshop. We are discussing the role of data in enhancing the effectiveness of sanctions. Tom, what are your main takeaways?
On sanctions implementation, governments clearly need to provide better, more granular information to the private sector. That's what's missing at the moment. The private sector, in turn, need to use all sources to identify who is the subject of sanctions and how they might be evading that activity. We also had an extensive discussion about the way in which trade data can be used to identify circumvention. I think the conclusion there was that this data can be used for diplomatic engagement with third countries, but it can also make us smarter at home on which industries might be involved in evasion.
Jem, how can the private sector support effective implementation of sanctions?
The private sector really is at the forefront of ensuring the effective compliance of sanctions against Russia. It is key that the private sector has in place sound policies, procedures and tools with access to relevant, accurate, complete data to ensure that they are able to identify transactions, individuals or entities subject to sanctions, so that they can then take the necessary action and report back to the regulators for the regulators to then get a better understanding as well of the characteristics and activities of sanctioned subjects. The private sector needs to be able to share information openly and effectively with peers in order to be able to understand the sanction landscape as they all experience and to drive best practice.
Marta, what can we do to make data processing more effective?
We have to make data more available, both to the private and public sector. And we have to have the knowledge how to work with this data in order to ensure effective implementation of sanctions and ensure compliance with the sanction regulations.
And how about private-public information sharing?
This is also really important, and it's to bring together public and private through the partnership to get a mutual understanding of the constraints that each operate under and how to overcome those constraints to be able to effectively have sanctions program against Russia.